Welcome in here to the Friday Shoot Around. I am Ryan Gilbert. Today we are joined by former Wildcat Martavious Irving. As always, we're sponsored by the Part-Time Beverage Company. Be sure to check out everything that they have to offer. Martavious, man, how you doing? Thank you so much for taking time with us.
I'm doing well, man. I can't complain.
Kansas State coming off a senior night for the Wildcats on Wednesday. I'm curious what you remember most about your senior night and maybe the emotions that go into that. Kansas State got off to kind of a slow start against Oklahoma, but was able to pick up a win. Do you think there was just a lot of emotions early on for Kansas State? Did you share that and that feeling in your senior night?
Yeah, I think so. It starts to sink in, and it's your last time at Bramlage. I know for me, what I remember is, being extremely happy to play in front of my mom. It was her first time in Kansas. But then you have to refocus and understand what was at stake. And, at that time we were playing for, a championship. And I know these guys, as good as they were, they wanted to make sure their home record stayed the way it is with one loss. And, it was a whole bunch of emotions, I'm sure, coming from all kind of different directions for them. But they handled it well. They withstood early Oklahoma pressure and started to blow it out the water as we expected.
Is the tunnel dance now, is it better than when you were rocking the show, or is nobody ever going to top Martavious Irving?
That nobody's going to top me. Come on, man. They do a really good job. I will say that. And I will say I like that so many people are included. You normally have, you see two people with tie, and I think it's Naquan maybe that does it. But yesterday they had everybody doing it. I'm assuming it's because it was senior night. We had a couple times where during our time, like when I started, it would just be me and Kurt. But we had a couple times. I remember one of my favorite ones is, when Will did it. You couldn't get Will to dance at all, but we got Will to dance. But no, I think, that helps with their energy and helps how they start games. And I'm happy to see the guys are just having fun.
Is there anybody on this team that reminds you of your former self as a K-State player? And maybe if not, is there any player that reminds you of any of your former teammates?
Well, a lot of us alumni, we are all in a group. It's like 15 of us with two track people, Eric Kennard and Jeffrey Jonas. And we've discussed, who do you like and all of that. Since game one of the season, my favorite player has been Desi Sills. Easily. My absolute favorite. And mainly because I don't think I had the opportunity to score as much as he does, but I was, as from a guard standpoint and coming off the bench, knowing the type of energy that you had to bring. For myself, with my role, it was more so on the defensive end. But Desi does it all, and he showed it. I remember seeing, and Desi isn't our sixth man; he's just our sixth starter, or something like that. He said,
Yeah.
and I absolutely agree with it. That kid is nice. So,
how nice has it been just to see Jerome Tang and come in year one, do what he's done so far?
it was great. It's great to see. First and foremost, you see a guy-centered man. And I know, in the past, all of our coaches have been, but this guy, he leads and leads off with God first, and he makes sure, and it's not fake, it's who he really is. And then to see basically, brand new team and him being able to put it together and put the product on the floor, and they won a lot of games. He exceeded expectations this year, I'm pretty sure, from everybody. So, I'm happy for my the school I graduated, my alumni, and just happy that they got someone that the fans are in love with. That they're gonna go to bat for it. Hopefully they just continue to win games.
When Coach Tang took over, back in the spring, And there were 11 newcomers on this team. What were your expectations? You said that he's kind of blown away all of those expectations. What did you think this team would produce in year one with so many newcomers?
Honestly, I didn't know. That's the thing. I I've met and I've had conversations with both Marquise and Ish, um, because they've come down to Wichita for TBT. Um, but other than that, I didn't know any of these players,
Yeah.
with the exception of Keontae. Everybody knew who he was, and especially him being at Florida, I pay attention sometimes to University of Florida just because it's my home state. But everybody knew who Keontae was and knew what he was projected to be before his situation. But other than that, it was just it was no expectations, to be honest. It was just like, you know, gotta hope for the best because we don't know what type of product you're putting on the floor. We don't know if you got enough time for it to mesh.
Mm-hmm.
And we was happy that it did. I'm pretty sure everybody's happy that it did.
K-State won the Big 12 with you as a player back in 2012-13 season. What are the similarities that you kind of see from this team that you guys had back then 10 years ago with Bruce Weber's first season?
I think first and foremost, the similarities you have is your two best players is a wing and a point guard, and I was at that time was Angel and Rodney. Um, so two very good floor generals, very smart point guards, can score the ball, distribute the ball. And then two very reliable and elite wings in Keontae and Rodney. Um, score the ball as well, both score the ball. I do think they are more athletic than we were. Um, I think we had a lot of length with Shane and with Jo. Um, it's hard to really compare. Other than those like two, it's really hard to compare. I guess some of the energy that I feel like I brought off the bench, and the same as Desi, but it's not too much. They use a lot of the athleticism. We had Gip, so those are two different types of, you know, um, players and teams and stuff. We played fast, and defended well and all of that, but I think they're more athletic. They're long, and like Naquan is just long and just jumps out the gym. So it's one of those, like, it's just two completely different teams, but they both work.
You mentioned Naquan. You also talked about Desi Sills earlier on. These two players, and I guess you could throw David Gasson in this mix, Cam Carter, but those two guys have kind of been, kind of the X factors, the important guys down the stretch recently for Kansas State. What can those two guys mean for Kansas State? And do you have to have that third consistent scorer on a nightly basis, or is it just kind of, one of these guys has to step up here and there? But overall, how important can these two guys be?
We need the consistency now because when you hit March, it's really, win and go home. We know that they're guaranteed to go into the tournament. So at the very least, you are guaranteed two more games. So it's up to you, and the full team on how many games that you will play. And I think those two guys start with Naquan. To me, he got to stay on the floor. A lot of times he get called for what I think are not fouls, but I'm not going to be the Big 12 referee complaining guy. But whenever he's on the floor, he's a difference maker because of his length, because of his versatility, his ability to stretch the floor. He protects the rim. Last night watching him, one of those dunks he sprinted down the middle of the floor and beat everybody. And
Mm-hmm.
that type of stuff you can't teach. That's just that's just sheer will and athleticism, and his ability to guard multiple positions. Obviously, switching helps. He just got to stay on the floor. I think going into March, I don't know how many. I think I read something that said he averages about 26 minutes a game over the past few games where he's been playing well. That may need to get increased, and having him on the floor is really important. And then for Desi, it's just I see the coaches saying he's Mr. Energy guy. He just got to bring that dog every night because it's his last ride. He don't get another chance, and he is really good. Like he's really nice in my eyes. I think he's really a really good player. And he compliments everybody so well, and he just got to be able to get on the floor as well, stay on the floor, and everything else just falls into place. And he always is making the right decision. I love his like aggressiveness. He plays with like a chip on his shoulder. He defends well, shoots the ball well. He lets Marquise play off the ball. All kind of things that he brings to the team, and having those two guys step up along with Keith and Keontae, it makes them really dangerous.
Wrap up the first half with this, Martavious, excuse me. K-State lost just one home game all season long, had some struggles on the road. How special was Bramlage Coliseum this season, and how much of a difference do you believe that it really made with that home court advantage?
It's like having a six man out there, really, to be honest. And I think it made all the difference. As a player, you play basketball, you love it. You want to play at the highest level, absolutely. But when you get in front of people and there's 12,000 fans in there, your adrenaline goes to another level. Your focus goes to another level. You're wanting to impress and make them happy by getting a stop or getting a block or making a shot, and ultimately winning the game. All of that goes to another level. And Bramlage is as good of any place, not just Big 12, but in the country. Over my 4 years, I was able to play in a lot of places, and I always remember my senior year Big 12 media day, talking to Elijah Johnson. He said, "Best place to play," and that shows you, and that was 10 years ago. Nothing's changed. It's just newer. It's just younger students there. So, Bramlage plays a big part in that 15-1, 16-1 record for sure.
He's Martavious Irving. I am Ryan Gilbert. We'll go ahead and take a quick break here on the Friday Shoot Around. Welcome back in here to the Friday Shoot Around. I am Ryan Gilbert. Once again, we're joined by former Wildcat Martavious Irving. Martavious, we're into March now. This is where, it starts to get real. Kansas State, if you had a chance to talk to not only the coaches, but more importantly, the players on this team for K-State, what would be your message to this team? You guys went to the Elite Eight your freshman year, right? Had an amazing run, beating Xavier in the Sweet 16, but also your senior year, you got bounced in the first round. Kind of just shows you how fragile a season can be in March. What would be just your advice to these players as we get into crunch time?
Going to the game settled. Don't overthink it. It's one of those situations where you know everybody in the country is watching you. It's the top sporting event, I think, outside of the Super Bowl, in the country, and you just gotta let your nerves calm and go into it like you're in Bramlage, because I'm pretty sure no matter where we go, we're gonna travel well, and play it like it's Bramlage, and go out and show why you're deserving of the seeding. You are one of the best teams in the Big 12, and everything else to take care of itself.
What do you think K-State's ceiling is in March? I know I've asked this to pretty much every guest I've had on the show, but over the last 4 games on this winning streak, it really does feel like K-State has a true, legitimate chance to make a run, doesn't it?
They do. I don't like to put a ceiling because I don't like to. I'm kind of superstitious. I don't like to jinx nothing. But I think obviously the potential they have, and it's March. Anything can happen. They can make a run, and be a Final Four team, and I'm as a basketball player, I don't want them to just play for a Final Four just because we haven't gotten there in a long time. Go win a national championship. Why not?
I don't want
Why not? I was gonna say if they wasn't capable, they wouldn't be projected a 2 seed. So why not?
Yeah. I hate to bring this up, I really do, but what happened in that LaSalle game? Did you guys overlook them? What went on there?
In all honesty, man, it's kind of a blur. I have never like revisited that game. All that I can remember is I don't want to say we overlooked them because, um, and this is from my personal standpoint. One of my old high school teammates was playing on that team, and then their best player I played against in high school, also Ramon Galloway. But my teammate Samuel Mills was on that team, and so I just knew players from there, and I knew their style of play. I think early on, before we made adjustments, when we got down big, we didn't match up well with them. They're really they was guard heavy, and we just didn't match up with them. When we tweaked it and we changed with certain matchups, and we made a run and came all the way back and took the lead, um, it we was just kind of playing uphill the whole time also. But it's just one of those situations where it's like it shouldn't have happened. And again, I don't want to overlook it, but coming out on the floor, Marshall Henderson was coming out in our head. We thinking we about to blow this LaSalle team out and go play Ole Miss. He's telling us that we'll see you tomorrow. It was a whole bunch of things instead of focusing on the task at hand. So we could use every excuse in the book, but it was something that we should have. It was set up for us, and this is why I was saying with this team, it was set up for us to meet Wichita State in the Elite Eight. That's how they set it up. The NCAA tournament our brackets were made to go that way. We was projected to be a 3 seed, and they decided to put us a 4 seed. This is just how the NCAA tournament does for the sake of matchups, and we just didn't uphold our end. So
K-State likely is going to be playing in Des Moines or Denver. What do you think the first couple of rounds will just kind of look like for Kansas State in the NCAA tournament?
well, that's pretty close. So it'll be pretty purple. I think it'll be pretty purple. I'm pretty sure there's a good amount of K-Staters in those two places as well. Um, so hopefully we can make it like a game at Bramlage and bring the energy for these guys.
Before the Big 12 tournament begins, K-State goes on the road at West Virginia on Saturday. Is this a must-win just in terms of keeping the momentum going, the confidence level up for Kansas State to win 5 in a row in the regular season heading into postseason play? Or do you think a loss here is not the end of the world because they've already got like a 2 or a 3 seat locked up?
I think both, to be honest. For your mental and for your confidence as a team, go out, win the game, go into the Big 12 with 5 wins and say, hey, we're gonna go win the tournament. Um, but then also understand that it's not you've done all your work throughout the season, that it's not you have to live or die by this, win or loss. So if you lose, it's like, okay, we still projected here. Let's still go try to make this run and win this Big 12 tournament and then go into the NCAA with confidence. I think our fans and alumni and people who love this team in totality, we want to win every game, but I'm pretty sure everybody would love a deep run in March more than anything. More than, no one will remember losing to West Virginia on Saturday if we made a deep run, if we, was a Final Four team or any of those things. So it's kind of both, you know, but I feel like, especially for the seniors, you don't get to play West Virginia no more, or you don't get to play at West Virginia. Go win it. That's one thing I can say. With the obvious exception of KU, I won in every arena in the Big 12, even from the original Big 12. So, you know, why not go with it? Just you don't need to be relaxed or anything like that for that game. You need to go and win it. Keep them on notice. Let people know, hey, we're the best team in this league. Let's go. Let's get prepared for this postseason.
throughout your 4 years, you guys were never on the bubble. All 4 of your seasons, you were firmly in the NCAA tournament. So this is kind of the same mindset that you have going into this Big 12 tournament for Kansas State this season, where you're already locked in. What is the mindset of these, couple games, 2 games, 1 game, 3 games? It doesn't matter how many you play, but obviously you've got March Madness sitting, ahead of the schedule, right? How do you stay locked in on these games that, like you said earlier, why not go win them? But at the same time, you've got more of the meaningful games in March Madness up next.
You gotta just basketball isn't something that's promised. We see that with a guy on our team. It's not promised every day. So you wake up every day, you thank the Lord that you can, do what you're doing, and I wake up and do the same thing. I thank God that I can still go and work out and play basketball and still go and be a realtor and things like that. And I'm pretty sure these kids got to wake up every day and say, "Hey, look, there's I'm not promised this tomorrow, and especially for the seniors, I'm not gonna be able to play in the Big 12 tournament no more. I'm not gonna be able to play in front of so I need to treat every game like it's my last, regardless if everything gets locked up or regardless of what the main goal is, because it's not promised. If you go and win this Big 12 tournament, and I don't know when the last time K State did, but you go and win this Big 12 tournament and then lose the first game, and knock on wood, but lose the first game in the NCAA tournament. Yeah, we want to make a big run, but you still was memorable because you won the Big 12 tournament. And even if you win the Big 12 tournament and go all the way to the final, you got to try to win every single game and not look at what the ultimate prize is. Going 1-0 every day is the most important.
Yeah, Tang tweets that all the time after a win, go 1-0, right?
Yeah.
I want to ask you about the coaching change that you went through. Marquise Noel and Ish Massoud went from Bruce Weber to Jerome Tang. What was the transition like for you, just going from Frank Martin to Bruce Weber?
That was kind of a blur too. It all kind of happened within a few days, I would say. Um, we lost to Syracuse in the tournament, and um, it was it was more so even before the Syracuse game. We were just going through so much drama off the floor with Jamar Samuel's situation, and um, the night before the game, we had film, and Frank came in late to film because he was out there fighting for Jamar. We had already known what was about to happen. We just didn't know that Frank was going to leave. So it was just so much drama going on because, to this day, Jamar's one of my closest friends. Literally in October, I was at a wedding with him, and he just, I felt so bad because it was his last game and he didn't even get to play it. We could have kept going if we won, but it ultimately I forgot, I think we played Southern Miss before. Um, was his last game, and I just felt like that was unfair. So after that happened, and then you know Frank decides that he's leaving, it was kind of a blur. Like I was at home in Fort Lauderdale. We was on spring break when we all found out. We look at our phones. We got a text message that said, "Hey, I'm leaving." And then you see it on ESPN a few days. You get introduced to South Carolina, and then at the time, AD John Curry is like, "Hey, we need all you guys to come back." We all came back. We go into the locker room. He asked us, well, "What do you want in a coach?" Everybody says what they want in a coach. A few days later, Bruce Weber walks in. And that's just kind of how it went in a matter of a week and a half. It was a whirlwind and it was kind of blurry, but yeah, it was crazy.
What was your favorite memory playing at K-State?
I have so many. Um, I do really have a lot. My favorite memory, man,
There's a lot to choose from.
it is. I think as a freshman, um, when we beat number one Texas. That was a really, really exciting game. Sophomore year, I think obviously beating KU at home on Valentine's Day when Jake went crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot of fun. Um, my junior year, it would probably be it was a lot going on that year. Might have to skip junior year. Senior year, it's really hard. It's a lot. Senior year, probably the game at Baylor when Rodney hit the game winner. That was a really crazy game. And then just like if you like just to think of some games and sprinkle them through. Obviously the run, the Elite Eight run was fun. Playing against Jimmer for that. Um, Even though we lost, playing against Duke was a dream come true. I've always wanted to play against a Coach K coach team.
You guarded
Uh,
Kyrie, right?
Barely, no, I barely
No.
did not. I didn't. I
You
didn't.
let
I,
somebody else
I,
guard him.
I was asking to switch, to be honest. I wanted to guard him, but I didn't. I played well that game, but I did not guard him that much. Um, but yeah, it's a lot of memories just to sit back and think about sometimes and go through it. I think probably my favorite, now that I think about it, um, and it's weird how it happened because it happened on a loss, but the day we lost to, in my senior year when we lost to Oklahoma State, that if we had won, we'd have clinched outright, or we don't have to win, and KU would have had to lose. But we lose, and it's fake Patty's Day. We fly back. Bruce says, "Y'all cannot go out. We lost. We don't go out after games. None of us want to go out. We was pissed. We felt like we was this close to history, having won the Big 12 since like 1978 or something like that." And all I remember at the time I was living with track one of my best friends that ran track, Jeffrey Jumas, and we're sitting there watching Baylor and KU, and Pierre Jackson is going crazy. And we are like, this time is going down, and I'm like, is this really happening? And Baylor beats them. And all I remember is looking at my phone, and Coach Weber said, "Congratulations, y'all made history. Y'all are Big 12 champs. Go celebrate." And by the time we got to Aggieville, they were going so crazy that we had won a share of the Big 12 title. Um, I just remember crowd surfing that night. Like, I don't know how people picked me up, but I was crowd surfing. It was like so much fun. I'm like, these people are strong. But that was a really good memory. It was a weird how it happened, um, just because we didn't win our game, but it was a pretty fun. It was a fun night and a good memory to have.
Martavious, we'll wrap it up with this as K-State, like we talked about, March Madness is almost here. What's the one key for K-State to make a deep run, whether that's something off the court mentally or just in terms of the X's and O's that has to happen on the court for K-State?
I'm gonna go X's and O's. One, we have to gang rebound, and two, we have to take care of the ball. We do those two things, we beat anybody in the country. We have enough scoring, we have enough defending, we got enough length, we got enough everything. The team is pretty well rounded. There's times where we get out rebounded, and there's times that we turn over the ball. It happens. Basketball is a game of mistakes. Those two things, everything else will take care of themselves. Off the court, stay completely calm, stay in the moment, understand what's going on, but don't let it get you outside of yourself. Don't let it rattle you. Don't let it be in the tournament. You go out and do something that you haven't done all season. Stay the course. Do what's gotten you to, what is it, 23 wins now, and a top 10 team. Everything else take care of itself.
Martavious, I appreciate you joining me, man, and look forward to following at the end of this season for K-State.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Once again, he's Martavious Irving. I am Ryan Gilbert. This is Friday Shoot Around.